Nissan Sugo. It is qualifying for the Japan Cup, the first round of the 2025 season. My name is Ben Constanduris and welcome along to Sportsland Sugo, a standalone weekend to kick off the Japan Cup for 2025, and a challenging weekend with conditions expecting to be much like this all the way through qualifying, but then also through tomorrow's two races. It's late into the afternoon here in Japan. And a 4-round championship for you for Japan Cup this year, with this standalone race in Sugo, joined by a Power Tour event in Fuji and Okayama, where we share the calendar with the GT World Challenge Asia Championship, and then they will round out their year at the Suzuka circuit as a support race for the new or redone 1,000 kilometers in the middle of September. Expecting the grid to wane and grow throughout the season as well. Plenty of full season entries and an opportunity to have mixed class racing in the Japan Cup, because whilst overall honours of course goes to the GT3 runners, we also have GT4 and GTC entries as well. Here's a look at the Sportsland Sugo circuit. A beautiful little circuit, 3.5 kilometres in length, just a minute and 20 for our GT3 cars, not today, not in the rain, but a complex circuit to get your head around. With 13 turns and that very long final double right-hander to bring you onto the main straight. Our entry list consists of 3 GT4 cars. We've got 2 GTC cars and 13 GT3 machines. There is the number 9 of Bingo Racing with LM Corsa, Shinji Takai and Ukyo Sasahara in one of many Ferrari 296s. Absolutely the favoured car for our grid. In fact, 7 I think I counted Ferrari 296s. We also have one 488 Ferrari as well, the old version, with Mercedes, Lexus, Nissan and Porsche. As with our usual qualifying format, 2 qualifying sessions, with a mandatory driver change for our 2 different drivers between the 2 sessions. Q1 setting the grid for race 1, Q2 setting the grid for race 2. But unlike our GT Challenge Championship, a bit more complex because we have those GTC cars and GT4 cars, so finding space on the track, very important. Waiting for the light to turn green at the end of pit lane. All cars, of course, on wet tyres, expecting rain to continue throughout this session. And it will turn green at 3 o'clock local time, although it does feel rather like 6-7 o'clock in the evening with the darker clouds hovering over this Sugo circuit. Green flag at the end of pit lane. Now, obviously, unlike a dry session where you'll be pushing hard on those slick tyres and getting the best out of them, here you're waiting for the circuit to clean, to get as much rain away from the track as possible, and therefore the cars are likely to be out on circuit circulating throughout this 15-minute session, hoping that in theory, the track improves by having 18 cars circulating and removing that rain off the track. Onboard cameras. On board here with our 39 machine, which is in our GT4 category, the Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia Toyota Supra of Manopo and Nonaka, long-time participants in GT World Challenge Asia, and then over into the Japan Cup once it became a standalone ship, previously part of a subcategory GT World Challenge Asia. Maezawa Racing, the 555 of Maezawa himself, sharing that car with Naoki Yokomiso, of our onboard camera cars. That's what it looks like from the outside, 555. And another of our Ferrari 296s. The thing to consider will be trying to find space out on the track. Don't really want to be following another competitor, because visibility therefore will be compromised by the spray kicked up by the car in front, and ideally you want to be in clean, clear air. There's a bit of a racing line, isn't there, along the main straight there? And we start to see the first of our laps. Let's not get too excited about the laps at the start of this session, although obviously also a very high chance of a red flag if a car goes off. And the timer will stop if we have a red flag, so it's as though they lose time, and it does interrupt laps. And if we get close to the end of the session, then it will clearly end our qualifying session. So important to get good laps in early doors and continue to do that. Basically, you need a good lap every lap. Every lap needs to be a qualifying lap here. There's no real opportunity to back off, start again, because there is a risk that the qualifying session will end in the lights. Very, very hard to see. It's almost dark, isn't it, which car we're following, but it is still the 555 Pro-Am entry. We've got Pro-Am and Am entries in Japan Cup. No silvers as such. Saku Maezawa right on board. Nice and smooth with the steering wheel for the moment. Not too much snapping going on. These really conditions. Traction control will be turned up to guide and aid the cars and drivers to not make too many errors. Maezawa comes towards the line to register their first lap. Turns out to be one of the slower of our GT3 competitors so far. In fact, really many competitors slower. Run up Nissan, a 360 car, down in 11th position. But also an opportunity here where power doesn't matter so much for some of our GTC and GT4 runners to be involved and get in the mix with our GT3 cars. Here's one of 3 cars run by Kes Tunes Racing. They're running 3 different manufacturers during this season in Japan Cup. Obviously, when we talk about the 98, that is our championship leader, championship champion from 2024. And it was this Lexus that ran them to the title. It was really Kes Tunes versus Kes Tunes in 2024. And that's into the barriers for the Lexus. And I fear quickly, there's a nice access road very close to where that car has gone off, and I don't exactly know how hard that hit was, but I fear that we're going to go red flag pretty quickly. With 9.5 minutes remaining in the session, race control will just be waiting to see if they can refire this car and at least get it back to the pits without interrupting the session. By causing a red flag, though, you cannot continue in that session. So for Kes Tunes, they will want to keep going. They've slightly misaligned the barrier and just a little bit wide coming on exit of that turn. Not so much of a problem in wet conditions. You'll be offline. You'll be looking for the better grip. But as Katsu got onto the loud pedal, the rears lit up, spun him around and into the barrier. So let's watch out for that 96. Could be a really competitive car and right up at the sharp end. But at the moment, time is only good for 14th position. Uematsu in the number 1. Our AM champion from last year. Memory serves, he tended to do most of the work himself in that AM machine. And we had a few drivers, and we still do have a few cars. In fact, only one this year, where a single driver entry. Uematsu in the McLaren it was last year, wasn't it? It was our 2024 AM champion. Also now in a Ferrari 296. To say, very much the favoured car to have, the number 1. It seems to be a very compliant GT3 car favoured by so many across the world. The new Ferrari 296 seems to be easy to plug in a pro driver, sympathetic to a pro driver. And obviously you have the amazing Ferrari alongside it. On pole for the moment, Banksy in the 666 Porsche 911 GT3R. Pro-Am entry, that one, sharing with Kyoto Fujinami. See him in the second sessions. This obviously the session where if you are in a Pro-Am competition, but you have the AM driver in that car. So we'll see the pros come out in the second of our qualifying sessions. They will start race 2. Unlike GT World Challenge Asia, we have both races on the same day. So one in the early morning, one in the evening, well not evening, but afternoon. We qualify on the afternoon of Saturday. So just a slightly different timetable for Japan Cup. It does mean that there's less for them to do on the Friday of the event. And it becomes a 2-day event. So here's night car 98 then. And it is the Ferrari from Kes Tunes, our champions from last year. Yamawaki aboard that car at the moment and in 5th position overall. We've still got 5.5 minutes remaining. Maezawa in the 55 has got himself ramped up provisional. Uematsu, best of the AM drivers, and then Banksy. Uchida goes up to the fastest time now in his Mercedes. Always a good car in the wet Mercedes, but it won't stay like that. We've still got 5 minutes remaining. We've still got 18 cars circulating. He says, just being careful that there's no one in the pits, but. Yes, we do have the Lexus still in the pit. So that is a real shame for Kes Tunes because they are not going to feature. And it'll be work to do. That'll be entertaining, actually, to see the Lexus come through the field. Team up garage with ACR. Akita coming over the line to set another time. That was up best for 6th position. another of our Ferraris. Stealing the Ferrari number, the 296 of Corns Racing. Akihiro Suzuki aboard that car. They are 5th position at the moment, only 1.1 back. I mean, it's a 1 minute 20 laps, so 1 minute 29 in the wet. It shows that actually the circuit giving good grip in these wet conditions. And that was a good lap also from Suzuki. Up to 2nd position, but at the moment Uchida with the provisional pole and with that nice advantage of just over 0.2 of a second. As our second drivers now begin to get themselves prepared for Q2. Cars will come into the pits. We will have a change. There's the Lexus, rather unprecisely taped up. I think it'll be cosmetic, that tap into the barrier. But either way, getting to go back out on circuit with 3 minutes remaining, that means not much of a chance to build yourself into it, but an opportunity to get a time on the board, because Suenaga is only 17th right now and in the mix with the GT4 and GTC competitors. Different colours down there because we've got Silver Am GT4 competitors and we've got Am as well. 2 Silver Am GT4 cars. Tiger Wu is obviously not involved in that at all, but there is the 1 Am car, which is the car that is 18th at the moment, the Kes Tunes Lexus Supra. Provisional pole for the GTC category is Toshi Kono in the Pitsing Porsche. And we follow Akita again towards the line. It's a slower lap time this time. No improvement there. So in pits. 1.5 minutes remaining. Surprising that in his Mercedes, like he landed on Mercedes AMG. Because down there in 10th position, track is definitely going to keep improving. Although not as many green sectors on our timing screen as we certainly I would have expected. Banksy pulling him 5th spot, so that's a row 3 start for 7.7. Followed, but you can see by a camera shot that actually there isn't a huge amount of ray coming off the circuit. The car behind isn't being massively compromised visibility wise. Over the line comes Banksy. It's an improvement. Not the Yamawaki behind did improve up to 4th position in the Kes Tunes Ferrari. Championship leaders at the moment, only 4th position. I say championship leaders. It's the first round of the championship. They are, well, they were our champions from last. And that's the 45 Ferrari. Monos Racing. Fujiyoko. Jico, sorry. Looking up nice and early in the lap to be able to see how we're going. Checker flag is out, so at the moment Akita is on the pole position. So an improvement on the last lap. I'm sure the lap we were following it wasn't an improvement, but the 18 now has the pole position. Uchida taking the checker flag, so we'll not have an improvement from Uchida. We're following the times there of the number 9. Over the line for this Ferrari. There was an improvement there. Maizawa has been bumped down the order over the last couple of laps. Is there going to be an improvement from him? Doesn't look like we're going to get any more improvements, having a look at the live timing. Therefore, I think we do have our bid for Q1 of the Japan Cup. Let's race 1 tomorrow morning then, with the number 18 of Akita. Shares that with Shi Kobayashi, who is our pro driver in that car. There is Maizawa. Oh, frustrated. Will he? That what Mr. Spaceman expected. I saw them debut last year in Okayama, wasn't it? Where they had good success. And it's great to have Maizawa right back with us for 2025. Into the pits then. And a new set of wet tyres for all of our cars, I imagine. Even though wet tyres to really wear out climate conditions, you just rub the edges off, and where you get these right angle, nice, clean blocks on the wet weather tyre. They become rounded, and so it doesn't quite cut into the rain on the track, on the wet surface, as you would expect from a brand new wet tyre. And that bite, basically it's an initial bite, but when you're turning in, you want that bite, you want the car to feel like it's turning. And when you get on the accelerator, the same thing. So that is what a brand new set of tyres will give you. So qualifying 1 then, done and dusted. And fastest in GT3 AM is that team Machina Ferrari at number 1. GT3 Pro-Am for team Up Garage. The fastest GT4 AM was the Kes Tunes Toyota. And here is the full grid then. Just 0.004 separating Up Garage from Max Racing. Ferrari leads Mercedes. So everything then gets reset for our second session. All but one driver will be getting out of the car. Just Tiger Wu doing his own second driver stint in the GTC 992 Cup car for Phantom Global. And so we will see Tiger again in GTC AM, but he's going to have a real hard task of things, because for anybody in a Pro-Am car, it's the pros now in those cars. So expect the circuit to be a little bit faster, expect the times to be a little bit faster as well. into the cockpit of the number 9. It's going to take a while for us to get used to Bingo Racing being in a Ferrari rather than in their Corvette. Real shame not to have that Corvette, although obviously aging, and they have a stiff competition of a lot of very fast Ferraris. So join the party, I suppose, is what they needed to do. Also long-term members of the championship, the Indonesian Toyota Gazoo Racing Supra. And Nornata will now be in that car, I think. Silverham entry. There's no Pro-Ams in GT4. Can't be a Pro-Am in GT4. So you have Silverham or Full Am. There is Tiger Woo's car. Look at that for a livery. Quite unbelievable. You are not going to miss Tiger Woo anytime soon. Interesting that he's being strapped back in because, as I say, he was on his own on the entry list. Comes from the Porsche Carrera Cup Japan Series, the single-make championship, which is so successful. There's 13 different championships around the world for the Porsche Carrera Cup. And Tiger will be involved in that last couple of years. This a step up for him. Actually run by Bingo Racing. I think I said it was Phantom Global, but I believe that's a Bingo Racing car. Right then, cars on track. For Q2, another 15 minute, and rules apply. Get yourself some space, don't follow too many cars. Suppose don't use up too much of your wet tyre too early on in the session, knowing that the circuit is going to get better and better for you. I say it is. We didn't really see any dry line appearing, did we? And the drizzle is continually falling, so it's sort of staying wet and it isn't getting any better. But convention always suggests that with 18 cars on track, it should get better. Never saw where the Lexus ended up in the first of our sessions. Quick look to see, it is out on circuit there, so the damage wasn't too great. The risk also when you go into the barrier like that, you tend to fold the exhaust over on itself, and then the engine doesn't operate in the same way as it's supposed to. Let's look at the 24 Mercedes. Second on the grid for first race. Now with Motojima in that car, Pro. Times beginning to register. Just remember, we're at about the 128s, weren't we, in qualifying one? Big roaring Mercedes engine going past one of our camera positions. Very unique noise to that car. And Motojima comes towards the line to register 3 purple sectors, and therefore best lap, what is it, 128.4, so already into what the pros were able to, so what the AMs were able to do in the first of our sessions. Unsurprisingly, I suppose. And it is going to be the pros that are at the top of our standings in this second qualifying session, with the AMs likely to be behind. The AM category cars are those on your graphic on the left-hand side in red. So the 360 run-up sports, that's the Nissan. Ueda in the Akiland Mercedes 71. They're in 5th position right now. And then Car Guy Racing. Car Guy himself actually not Kimura, not in the Japan Cup this weekend because he's racing at Rouen. Of course, Team Machina are also the other of our competitors in GT3. Suzuki, Rokatsu Suzuki in that car. And up to 3rd spot now. Sasahara will follow in the 9. Bingo Racing, LM course. And actually 24, that fastest overall, but has come into the pits. So curious move from the 24 machine. 24-4, 1 second from everybody else, come into the pits, leaving the pits just on the bottom of screen there. So maybe just a tyre pressure adjustment there, 9.5 minutes remaining, no panic really to get himself back out onto circuit. So Kagi, we've now run a clock on our champions from last year at Kes Tunes Ferrari. Where are they at the moment? 7th position. But, yeah, there's a big gap from the 24 to the 2 and 9. 1 second difference between 1st and 2nd at the moment. And then between 6th and 7th, also 1 second completely between Suzuki in the Machina car and this Kes Tunes Ferrari. So there's plenty of time to find. Plenty of purples will be popping up on our timing screens. That little line beside the name and flag indicates the 3 different sectors and whether they are slower than they've been before, and makes it white. They're better than they have been before, then it is green. And if they are better than everybody else, like Sasahara there in purple, then it's purple. So Sasahara, fastest of anybody in the 3rd sector of the lap, 3.5 tenths back from our leaders. And yeah, Sasahara then now fastest of anyone in the 1st sector. It was a bit difficult, these qualifying sessions, to know when those fastest times are coming in. Very conventional usually in qualifying, with 1 or 2 laps and big fast laps and that's pole position. But when it's wet like this and everyone's exploring the limits, much harder to understand when we're going to see the fast times. On board with the 39, this is our GT4 car, our Indonesian Toyota Supra. Opportunity to see what Naka is doing with the steering wheel, how much he's losing grip every so often, how much he's struggling with the car. We went on board with Maezawa early in the session, and it was true that he wasn't really at the limit at that point. He was pushing, he was not really pushing, he was building. So we didn't really see too much activity on the steering wheel. It's a bit more busy for Nanaka. At the moment they are 2nd in GT4, behind the Zenko RS Garage Porsche, which is also was also entered by Sunrise Boulevard last year, so this sort of battle resumes as it was last year in GT4. So Sasahara, Gima, Kobayashi, Cozzolino, your top 4 at the moment, but purple sectors continuing to come through. Sasahara on a better lap again in the number 9. Has half a second advantage at the moment over the rest of the field. Look at the 6 Porsche. Fujinami. Certainly able to be a bit more aggressive with the car. And here the throttle application, more aggressive earlier in the turn. Missing out on 6th gear before having to break down to the hairpin, staying away from the racing line. The conventional racing line tends to be slightly more slick because the water sits on the rubber that's been laid down in dry condition running. And so where possible, and the chicane is somewhere where it's quite difficult to do this, but in a hairpin, for instance, you sit away from the racing line, and this last turn as well, you will find that there is more grip off the conventional racing line, and you can therefore carry more speed than you would do if you were on the conventional racing line. 666 over the line. At the moment, 8th fastest in GT3. And no improvement. Slowest of our GT3 runners as Tiger Wu comes over the line to improve its time up to 12th. And 4 minutes now remaining of this session. Suzuki in the number 1. Down there in 9th position, but that is best AM. So what you would expect, the outlier really in GT3 AM is the 66 Ferrari, which is in 15th position and behind some of our GT4 cars. So whether that car guy entered Ferrari has had an issue somewhere. It's done as many laps as the rest, but a little bit disappointing for Kazuki Ota. Motojima in the 24 once again in the pits. In fact, was an outlap when he went back into the pits. So I wonder whether the 24 has an issue. Max racing orange Mercedes with Uchida right at the front of the field for race 1 with their pro driver. Spent a lot of this session in the pits, and now a second back from Sasahara. Third on the grid still, so not too bad, but you would expect the likes of Yokomiso to improve. Yokomiso stays in 6th, right? It was a better lap. They are closing in on Sasahara, and Sasahara's time in that number 9. 27.4 is a big chunk faster than everybody else. Kobayashi up to 2nd now. It's just improved the 296 to 5th. A little bit of traffic though for Takagi. 2 cars in the way for the 98, our championship leader, the championship winners from last year, over the line, and with that, no improvement. 2 minutes remaining though, so still opportunities here for this to change. Sasahara from Kobayashi, Motojima in the Mercedes, in the pits. Takagi 4th, Kawabata, Cozzolino, Yokomiso, and then Fujinami, your top 8 Pro-Am competitors. Here is Kobayashi in the 18. Car on pole for race 1. 2nd on the grid for race 2. Team Up Garage bringing the heat to Kes Tunes, who really did fully dominate the Japan Cup last year. And it does look good, doesn't it? Car looks settled, not too much twitching going on. An improved first sector for Kobayashi. Sasahara is going faster again. Sasahara has just moved the bar. Kobayashi has reduced it once again with a purple sector in the final sector of the lap, but it's still 0.7 of a second difference between Sasahara and Kobayashi. Here's the run-up Nissan of Tanaka now in that car. Third in AM. And rather few green and purple sectors on our timing screens. If there is a problem with that Mercedes, they're still going to get away with it, aren't they? Because it doesn't look like anybody is able to go faster. It's very, very close though. Motojimo, Takagi, Kawabata, Cozzolino, Yokomizo, all within 0.2 of a second of each other. It's just that Sasahara at the head of the field, a long way up the road. Flag is out then. Last laps for all of our drivers. Last attempts to improve your lap time. In GT4, Nonaka has taken the pole position away from that Porsche we were just following, the Cayman. And so it is Toyota beating Cayman in GT4. Kawabata heads to pit lane. As we follow Takagi in the Kes Tunes Ferrari. They are second row. And rather than diving into the pits, does complete the lap, but there is no improvement there. And so all of our Pro Am GT3 cars have now finished their session. And it is Sasahara who is on the pole position for race 2. A stunning transition then for Bingo Racing from that Corvette to Ferrari. And Ukyo has the pole position. Over the line for our only female racer. That is the 17. No, it's not the 17. It was the 97. Betty Chen. And 17th position. The last of our runners today. There's Tiger Wu. And finished up in 12th position. Didn't see much of the 71 Mercedes. Ueda down in 10th position by the end. Second in the AM category. And there was no improvement from the 66, so the last of our GT3 AMs in the midst of the GT4 pack. Shows what a level of the rain is. Must have, from the original entry list, we have lost a car, unless it's the Lexus that hasn't come out into this session at all. No, it is the Lexus. So I thought that we'd got away with not damaging that Lexus too much, but the Kes Tunes Kes Tunes Lexus, sorry, should have seen Fukuzumi, the Super GT 500 and Super Formula driver, in that second session, but we unfortunately didn't. That's going to be quite a weekend then tomorrow for the Lexus to get through the pack in both of the races. As I said at the start of this session, when you're going backwards like that, there's this opportunity to fold the exhaust on itself, and that does compromise the car, even though most of it's crash structure at the back of the car when you're going backwards like that. the exhausts are vulnerable. Ukyo Sasahara then, jumping out of the Ferrari of Bingo Racing. Pole position for race 2 on Sunday afternoon here in Sugo. There is Tiger Woo's Porsche with that very distinctive livery. Both qualifying sessions done for Tiger. I think we are setting up potentially to hear from Ukyo Sasahara. A pole position for the 18 team up garage with ACR in Q1, and in Q2 it is Ukyo Sasahara beating that 18 car to the pole position. Let's go down to Emily, who is down there in the pits.
そんなに開いてると思わなくて、全然何も分かんなくて、とりあえず走ってね。行きます。
さあ、それでは笹原選手に話していきたいと思いますが、予選ポールポジションまでおめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
もうフリー走行から圧倒的にぶっちぎりな速さを見せてるんですけど、ご自身としてはいかがですか？
はい、まずビンゴレーシング WithLM コーサができて間もない期間で、まして車が届いたのが2週間前だったし、本当に昨日シェイクダウンっていう中だったので、もう本当この開幕戦どうなるか分からなかったんですけど、でもチーム含めて全員がパーフェクトの仕事をしてくれたおかげで、僕はただいつも通り走るだけでした。
So, just 2 weeks ago, the new car, the Ferrari car, arrived, and yesterday was actually the first rundown for the entire team. He's super proud with this lap, of course, but he's super proud with his team for the hard work, for the effort, and really looking forward to tomorrow, right?
はい、もう明日楽しみですね。このフォーマットはそのプロジェントルマン含めて、すごい面白いレース内容になっているので、まずはね皆さんと一緒にレースを楽しめたらと思います。
So this category itself, it's a collaboration with professional drivers and drivers. The level is so high. I'm really looking forward to drive and have fun with them tomorrow. 明日でお頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
And that is what they all say here in Sugo about the quality of
I have your
the car.
GT4 driver right next to me. Anytime's ready.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow for racing from Sugo.